let's start off with a question. Has this ever happened to you? Have you guys ever felt super, super good about your week, felt super good about your progress, and then like you're killing your workouts, you feel amazing in your clothes, your workouts are going great, and then it's check-in day or whatever, and you get on the scale, and the number on the scale hasn't changed. Or worse, the number on the scale actually went up, and your heart just like completely sinks. Has that happened to you? Let me know in the comments if that has happened to you or a similar experience. Say me in the comments below. I'm pretty sure that's happened to almost every single person here. I know that it's happened to me. And it's, I think, like the number one reason for pure discouragement, not necessarily falling off track or losing momentum or losing motivation, but strictly discouragement. When it comes to clients, when it comes to programs and everything, is the discouragement of the number on the scale not changing. Okay. And I think at Cut & Conquer, we do a pretty good job at focusing on some non-scale wins. But the truth of the matter is that the number on the scale, that number that you see looking back at you when you get on the scale for your check-in day or whenever it is that you weigh yourself, it still will likely affect how you feel, okay? And including myself. And even though, like, I know that the number on the scale, it really doesn't matter as a measure of progress. And I know that, but it can still get in my head. I think I do have a pretty good handle on it, but it still gets in my head, absolutely. And I'm going to say that other part again, because it's really, really important to recognize the difference. So the scale measures your weight. The scale does not measure your progress, okay? And that's really what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get into that, let me know in the comments. Unfortunately, I can't see them, but let me know because I will circle back after this and check them all out. Let me know in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10, how much power do you feel like the scale has over you? And again, all of these answers are going to be really different. I know some of you guys watching here are relatively new to the program. Some of you guys have been here for literally years. So drop it in the comments. How much power out of 10 does that scale have over you? How much can the number on the scale affect your mood, affect how you feel about your body, and just affect your outlook on how you are progressing in your program? I know I can't see comments, but I do see Wena's here, Jackie's here, Michelle, Alana, Shannon. I really appreciate everyone here tonight. I think my mom's here too. If I haven't said your name, I'm sorry. I only see the little pop-ups every time someone joins. So let me know, how much power do you give the scale? And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying a 10 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10. But overall, like, I think society really pushes I think it is shifting a little bit nowadays, but it's still ingrained in so many of us that, like, weighing less is good. If you're weighing less, you're doing good. And if you're weighing more, that's a bad thing. And that in itself is very, very skewed. And I'm not saying that if your weight goes down, that it's not good, or that if your weight goes up, that it is good necessarily, but it's just a skewed concept. And it's very similar to kind of like that old school concept of, like, if you want to lose weight, just eat less food. And if you want to gain weight, just eat more food, because there's really so much more to it than just that, right? And again, it's not necessarily wrong. Sometimes we do need to eat less food to lose weight. But as you guys know, especially those of you who've been here for a long time, there's so much more to it than simply just that. All right. So the next question I want to ask you guys before we get into the main topic is, I want you to think about this and consider this. If you had your absolute dream body, dream physique, looked exactly how you want to look and felt exactly how you want to feel, but you weighed more than you do today, would you care? Let me know in the comments. Dream body, feel amazing, but you weigh more than you do today, let me know in the comments. Would that bother you? Some of you guys are probably going to say yes. Some of you guys are probably going to say no. And there's probably some of you in here who feel like there's no way in hell that your dream physique could weigh more than you do now, right? And that could be true. let's say, just throwing out numbers, let's say right now you weigh 250 pounds. Let's say your dream body is 170 pounds. So that's what you think your dream body would be anyways. But imagine if you ended up weighing 230 pounds and you looked and felt the way you would in your dream physique. Would that still bother you? Let me know in the comments. And even though there's definitely some of us here who gaining that weight, it would bother. Some of us, it definitely wouldn't. But there's often, especially if your goal is weight loss or if your goal is body recomposition, meaning fat loss, muscle gain, there's still that like almost unfortunately gross feeling attached to gaining weight. And when I say gaining weight, I strictly mean the number on the scale going up. And that's the first thing I want to talk about is what actually is the number on the scale. I really wish I could see your guys' comments. But what actually is the number on the scale? The number on the scale is literally simply just the weight of your body. It's the weight of your bones, the weight of your fat, the weight of your muscle, the weight of the food that you've consumed, the water that you've consumed, the water that your body is holding. It's the weight of your organs. It's your overall just simple body weight. But the scale does not tell you your body fat percentage. It does not tell you your lean body mass. You can get scales and devices that tell you a body fat percentage. They're wrong. You have to get like a DEXA scan or an actual body scan to get a 100% accurate reading. You can do like calipers and that sort of thing, but even those, like there's a pretty big margin of error there. So if you are using like a body fat percentage from a scale, it's almost guaranteed to be at least around 8% off. You definitely can go for a DEXA scan. I have gotten one before. It is pretty cool. You can see like your fat mass, your lean body mass, your muscle mass, like on each limb of your body, your whole body and everything. But again, it's a better tool to use over time. So like getting one every year or every 6 months so that you can measure it. Because even if you just get one, like that's great and it tells you things and it tells you kind of like what you can improve, but it doesn't really tell you like if you're improving, you know what I mean? Anyways, went a little bit off topic there, but the scale doesn't tell you your body composition, and the scale does not reflect changes in body composition. It will only reflect a change in your overall body weight. Okay. So when we're thinking about body composition, and a lot of you guys, most of you guys are here for body recomp, like putting on lean muscle, losing fat. Honestly, progress photos are, in my opinion, the best way to see that progress. Because again, even measurements, and don't get me wrong, I do love measurements, but measurements can still go up and down based on so many factors that are not necessarily fat gain or muscle gain or fat loss or muscle loss. Like measurements can change due to inflammation, due to water weight, due to what you trained the day before, due to the time of day you're measuring, due to bloating, and especially due to incorrect or inconsistent measuring. Again, depending on who you have measuring, if you're measuring yourself, if sometimes you have someone else measuring you, if sometimes you do it and sometimes then it's someone else or a different person, there can be a lot of inconsistencies with measurements. Again, that's why we want to look at that trend over time, for measurements and for weight. And then specifically things like the chest measurement on women specifically. On men, it's a little less tricky, but on women, like we have your chest measurement and it can go up, it can go down. So looking at that, it's like, okay, did it go down because you lost like boob fat? Did it go down because you lost back muscle? Did it go down because you lost back fat? Or did it go up because you gained back muscle and lost boob fat? Like, you know what I mean? There's so many little variables with measurements. And that's why check-in photos are so important. As your coaches, like we use those photos so much. And that's why like taking them properly is really, really important. If you are new here, do make sure you have checked out, even if you're old here, if you're old, if you've been here a while, like we do have that video on how to take your progress photos properly, because it's so important, to have them done in good lighting, to make sure it is a full body photo, to make sure you do have that proper posture, make sure we can see your full body and that your outfits are relatively consistent so that we can make those educated changes based on how your body is actually looking. The next thing I want to talk about before we continue to talk about the scale is the myth that muscle weighs more than fat? If you're here, do you think muscle weighs more than fat? Tell me in the comments. Let me know. If Brittany and Samantha, you guys are here, don't say anything. I feel like I just gave it away. I'm gonna have a drink of water. Drop it in the comments. What weighs more, muscle or fat? Brittany got this like cup, and I feel like it's such a manly looking cup. All right, I'm gonna assume I got some answers. I don't know if anything came in because I can't friggin' see them. I should like pull up my live stream on my other phone, but that's too late for that now. Anyways, can you guys like see each other commenting? I think you can, because when Samantha can't see the comments, I can see the comments coming in. So like, why can't I, man? Anyways, okay. So muscle does not weigh more than fat. 1 pound of muscle weighs 1 pound, and 1 pound of fat still weighs 1 pound. The difference is that muscle is dense. Muscle takes up less space on your body, and muscle is a metabolically active tissue, unlike fat that just kind of like sits there. It actually takes energy, it burns calories to just maintain your muscle mass. To just have muscle on your body, you are burning calories. Again, it's not like 1,000 calories a day by any means, but it's not like fat, which is basically just a blob on your body. So again, the interesting thing is you can put on 5 pounds of muscle and you can lose 5 pounds of fat and be the exact same body weight and look completely different. And so if you were then just using the scale as a measure of progress, like we called it, it would say that you had 0 progress. But you would look at your body and you would say like, holy crap, like my body looks completely different, because your body composition is going to be so completely changed. Your weight may have not changed because you gained 5 pounds of muscle and you lost 5 pounds of fat. Your weight would actually stay exactly the same, but you're going to look completely different and you're going to feel completely different, because having muscle mass, we feel better. Not only are we like, we're not necessarily lighter, but we feel lighter. Our clothes fit differently. And our body has a complete different body composition. Your body fat percentage is actually going to be lower despite being that exact same weight. All right. Like I, for example, have weighed so many different weights as well as the same weight so many times in my life. Like since I've been an adult, I've basically weighed anywhere from 99 pounds to 143, maybe 146 pounds. And for me, like I'm only like 5'1", so a 46 pound spread is a lot of weight on anyone, but especially when you're only like 5 feet tall. So, again, like my body likes to be 124. Like I'm actually 124 right now. And I've been that weight so many times, but I've looked so different at that weight every single time I hit it. And for me, so like the very first time I competed, I weighed 99 pounds, like when I got on stage. And even now, if I were to get as lean as I was, or even leaner than that, my weight would be so much heavier because I've put so much muscle mass on my legs. And if you are someone who genetically has bigger legs, or if you're someone who is actively working on putting muscle on your legs are massive, and your leg muscles are a huge part of your body. So putting muscle on your legs overall, and someone who has bigger legs, you're going to weigh a lot more than someone who has smaller legs, or someone who's put on a ton of muscle mass on their arms, because even if you double the size of your arms, it's still not going to be that much weight. Do you know what I mean? So again, the scale does not measure your body composition. So now we're going to talk about why, sorry, I totally lost track of what I was talking about on my notes there. Okay, the scale, again, just to reiterate, the scale is not a good measure of progress. The scale is a good measure of body weight. Can it be a useful tool? Totally. But not just by itself, right? Because as we just discussed, you can be the exact same weight with so many other changes. And if we only looked at your body weight, we would completely miss those other changes that are so, so meaningful. And when it comes to using that data from the scale, like we absolutely want to be looking at the trend over time. And I'm going to go into why. And again, when I say trend over time, it doesn't mean like the trend over 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. It's literally looking at that trend over multiple months, because your weight can and will fluctuate so much. Most people will fluctuate between 5 to 10 pounds per day. And that's just normal. Like, unfortunately, like I wish I didn't weigh 10 pounds more at night, but it's just the way it is. We can't do anything about it, so we might as well just accept it. Maybe your weight won't fluctuate 10 pounds, but you absolutely will weigh a different amount in the morning than you will at night. And I want to talk about some things that you guys might not know that actually will affect the number on the scale. So the first one is, of course, different scales are going to weigh differently. So if you weigh yourself at the gym, it's probably going to give you a different reading than if you weigh yourself at home, than if you weigh yourself on a different scale or at someone else's house. Okay. Water intake. Water intake totally matters, and consistency with water intake matters even more. Water is a natural diuretic, so if you are not consistent with your water, your body is going to hold water weight more likely than if you are consistently hitting your water goal every single day. And especially when you guys first join the program and you start drinking a lot of water and you're like, oh my God, I'm drinking so much water. Yes, probably in that first week or two, you're going to be peeing more than normal. If you find that it continues for more than 2 weeks, you'll likely want to add in like some type of sodium to make sure that you are absorbing that water. But at the end of the day, like water intake consistency is very, very key. Most people hear your water goal is going to be between 2.5 to 4.5 liters per day. And it's so important that you hit that, because again, if you are drinking 6 liters one day and then 1 liter and then 4 liters, your body, water is a natural diuretic. It's going to get confused. You're going to be peeing a lot. You're going to be holding water, and your body's going to weigh very different weights. In addition to the fact that just drinking water, there's water in your body now. So obviously the weight would have gone up, but your fat didn't change. Your muscle didn't change. You literally just drank water. The next thing, sweating. If you are doing an intense cardio session or even an intense weight session and you're sweating a lot, you're going to sweat out that water and you're going to sweat out that weight. And sometimes it can be quite a lot. Of course, the next thing that it will affect is the time of day that you weigh yourself. So if you're really, really being OCD diligent, like probably someone like Justine, because she's OCD diligent, you need to weigh yourself at like the exact same time. And even then, like it really wouldn't, like it does matter, but there's so many other confounding factors that we're still going to talk about. Sleep quality. Huge. If you have a shitty night's sleep, if you guys have experienced this, you can drop it in the comments, because I'm pretty sure all of you have. If you have a shitty sleep, your weight will probably be up when you wake up in the morning. And that's in combination with stress. If you are stressed out, you will, like, stress is the reason for, like, everything shitty. Seriously. If you're stressed out, obviously, like, your cortisol is going to increase. You're going to be holding more water. You're probably going to have a shittier sleep. If you have a shittier sleep, your digestion is going to start to get off. If your digestion is off, your nutrition is probably going to get messed up. Get off. You know what I'm saying? So stress, we need to work on that stress management, making sure that you are taking time for self-care. I know it sounds kind of cheesy and whatever, but like if going for a facial isn't your self-care, that's okay. Like go out in the woods, go camping, go walk down the road, do whatever it is for you that like gives you that time to just chill and just have some time for you, because stress will fuck you for sure. Hormones. Again, hormones are going to cause those fluctuations in weight, especially if you're a woman and you're on your period, your weight is likely going to go up. And you're likely going to also hold more water. So when you're doing your check-in, if it is that time of the month, like you will likely, not always, because again, there's so many factors, you might look like you have a little bit less definition, in addition to potentially getting bloated. So again, hormones, huge factor in so many of these things, especially weight. Digestion. I know we talked about this one again, but I want to touch on it because I know a few of you guys have had digestive issues. A few of you guys are working on it. If you do have digestive issues, a couple things to look into in addition to obviously talking to your doctor. Digestive enzymes can help. I know they have helped multiple clients here. probiotic, again, I would look into it with your doctor or naturopath or something like that, because there are a lot of different types and a lot of different strains. And if you don't get the proper one, it can actually cause more problems for you. And there's also sometimes it might be a prebiotic that you need and not necessarily a probiotic, or you might need both. Also a bioscan. So I know a lot of you guys have gone for those. It is really cool because they can identify food sensitivities as well as other biofeedback markers in you, that are causing stress and inflammation on your body and on your system. She can also run supplements through the scan to see how it would respond to your body. So for example, when I went for mine, I think it was my adrenaline, which makes sense, like came back crazy high. So I can't remember what she did. Shit, what was it? So again, like you guys all know, like I don't sleep. My brain is like on overdrive all the time. And my adrenaline was like really high. So she put, what was it? She put like magnesium through the scan and it lowered my adrenaline like a bit. And then she put something else through it. What was it? I literally can't remember. And I like started taking the supplement, but I can't remember what it was now. That was stupid. But she ran another supplement through my scan to see if it would affect my results. And then like the magnesium brought it down like 5% or something. But then when she put the other supplement on top of it, it dropped it like by 20% or something crazy. So sometimes you might need two things or one thing, or something might make a bigger difference. So definitely pretty cool what she can do. She's in Fort Mac, for those of you in Fort Mac. And then another just little tip for digestion is try cooking your vegetables. Sometimes for some people, I'm not one of these people, but some of you guys are, raw vegetables, especially things like raw broccoli or like kale, those kind of vegetables can be hard to digest for your system. So try cooking vegetables more. Supplements, again, depending on what supplements you take, pretty much anything that has an artificial color or an artificial sweetener or an artificial ingredient will make you hold water. Not a ton of water, probably, but anything that has a color to it, if you're drinking a bright purple pre-workout, likely it has a color filler in it, and those things will make your body hold water. Am I saying to cut out all your supplements or cut out your pre-workout? Not necessarily. It's just something good to know. Obviously, did you poop today? Like, Brendan just joined and I know that he did. Anyways, again, the volume of food and waste and whatever, digested food in your stomach or undigested food is going to affect your weight, the number on the scale, totally. Carbs, really important. And this is why, for those of you, it does apply to Shred clients, but Shred clients, your nutrition is like dialed in like crazy. Especially for those of you not on Shred. The reason why at every check-in, your coach is like, hit your macros, hit your carbs, stop being inconsistent, be consistent, is because your carbs, when you cut your carbs out, you will drop weight. Absolutely, 100%, you will drop weight when you cut out carbs. That is why when people start keto, they drop 20 pounds, because when you cut out carbohydrates, not only are you obviously cutting out calories from your diet, you are also going to drop that water weight. A lot of your weight is water. And carbs, when you eat carbs, every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you eat, your body is going to pull in like 2 to 4 grams of water, okay? So when you start cutting out those carbs, not only are you going to cut out the carbs, you're going to cut out like your stored glycogen, you're going to cut out the water in your body as well. So if you want to drop like random shit weight, cut out your carbs for sure. But again, my personal opinion, and I think that all of the coaches here agree with me, if we didn't think this, we wouldn't take this approach. I personally think that carbs are the most useful tool for fat loss. I'm not a big fan of like a high carb diet per se, but the optimal fat loss results will come by including carbs in your diet. Now, consistency is very, very important. So if you are someone who hits your carbs one day, doesn't hit your carbs another day, eats too many carbs one day, doesn't eat any carbs the next day, your weight is going to be going up and down and all around, and your coach is going to look at your check-in and go, this is garbage. I can't even change anything because I don't know what the fuck's happening. That's just the truth. So be consistent with your macros. Make sure you're hitting those carb goals. Again, carbs are something that we can sometimes crave. We can sometimes overindulge in them. So we want to make sure we are eating those like nutrient dense carbs. Of course, have your treat meals, enjoy your treat meals, but make sure you're fueling your body with those good quality carbs and don't be afraid to eat them. Again, it's good to know that if you do overindulge in carbs, if your treat meal is high in carbohydrates, your body, in addition to having that extra food volume in your stomach, is going to pull in water from eating those carbohydrates. It's completely and totally okay. It's not like you eat a big meal of pasta and then the next day you've gained 15 pounds. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's literally just food volume and it's just water. Again, the scale will not tell you that. The scale is going to say you gained 10 pounds overnight and we're going to be like, oh my God, I just ruined my life, right? So that's why we're trying to educate you guys on this and tell you guys that the scale is not a measure of progress. It's a measure of weight, and that's it. Weight does not equal progress. Workouts. This one is really interesting. So I used to not know this before I started working out and stuff. The workout that you do or the rest day that you have will totally affect your weight. So usually, again, not everyone is the same. Usually after a leg day or like a intense full body workout day, usually your weight will be up. Not always, and some people it's the day after that. So like 2 days after. For me, when I train legs, like if you've ever trained with me, you know I go like hard in the paint, and my weight, and I don't even have big legs. Like, I wish I had big legs. I'm telling myself I do have big legs. I do. I was actually, side story here. I was talking to Brendan like the other day, and everyone knows like I'm obsessed with legs. I love legs. I love big thick thighs. Oh, anyways, I was like saying, I'm like, you know what? When people see me now, I think they're like, think I got big legs, because I used to have tiny, scrawny, tiny legs, like the size of my arms. And I hated it. I really hated it. I was so insecure about my legs. And now I think my legs actually look kind of big. If you guys have seen me, are my legs big? I know they're not long. I know I'm not tall, but like, do I look like I have big legs? Because I used to think people would only notice my upper body and be like, oh yeah, she's got like upper body muscles. But now I'm like, I'm pretty sure they see my legs. I'm pretty sure they see those quads popping. Anyways, that's been like my goal for a really long time, is for when someone meets me to be like, wow, like look at your legs, instead of like, wow, look at your lats. Anyways, side note there, when you train a large muscle group like your legs, your weight will usually increase the next day or 2 days later. Often that can also happen with a full body workout. If you're doing an upper body workout, your weight's generally not going to jump like too much, generally. Not everyone is the same. But again, like sometimes I feel annoyed at my check-in when it was like my leg day before my check-in and I get on the scale, my weight's up like 5 pounds, because I'm like, ugh, I know it's not really up 5 pounds, but my legs are so sore right now. And generally the more sore you are, the more your weight is going to be up, because you're going to be holding that water, you're going to be inflamed, your muscles are going to be torn and ripped. And when that happens, especially with our big muscle groups, your weight is going to go up. It doesn't mean that you gained fat. It doesn't mean that you gained muscle. It strictly means that your body is pulling in water and your body is repairing those muscles, and it's showing as inflammation, which is showing as an increase in your weight. Same thing with a rest day. Usually your weight will be a bit lower after a rest day. So for example, like Samantha, you definitely will know this if you're watching, like when bodybuilders are getting ready for their show, if you're doing a show, you generally don't train for, depending, like Samantha did bikini. It's a little bit different for each kind of category, but most competitors stop training like at least 4 days before their show, because they want to drop the water weight. They don't. So if you guys, sometimes, here's another little thing. So have you guys ever had, this happens to me a lot, if you go on a vacation or you go on a trip, and as long as you didn't eat like an asshole or like drink a shit ton, you come back and you're like, oh no, I probably put on so much weight, and you get on the scale and your weight is actually like lower or the same, and you're like, holy crap, how did I do it? And it's because if you took time off from your training, or even if you weren't lifting weights, if you were just doing like bodyweight workouts or just being active, you're going to be recovered. Like your body's not going to be sore. You're not going to be holding all that water. And usually when you go on vacation, you're stress free, as opposed to when you come back to reality and you got work and you got kids, you got a family, you got all this shit going on, and you're stressed and your cortisol's up and you're training and everything, your weight's going to go up. But when you come back from a vacation, as long as it wasn't like a hardcore party, usually your weight will actually be down or the same. unless you ate like a complete crazy person, which can totally happen too. And there's videos in the guides on how to avoid that. Another thing that can affect it is sodium. Sodium is not something that I like to limit with my clients per se. But it's definitely something you don't want to eat like a zillion milligrams of sodium each day. But you can actually like, I'm not going to get into this too much, but you can almost accidentally, manipulate your water and sodium by accident. If you guys are listening and if you guys can comment, I can't see it, but have you guys ever had those days where you're like in the gym and you just like look in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, like I got a pump right now. And you feel like you look so good. You're like, I don't even know what I did. You might have just accidentally manipulated your sodium and your water intake to like make your muscles pop, because it can happen. There's ways to not accidentally do it and do it for real. Like if you're getting ready for a photo shoot and that type of thing, we can manipulate your carbs, your water, your sodium and whatnot to like give you that pump. But you could also just accidentally do it on your own. And I think probably some of you guys have experienced that before. And then the final thing I want to talk about is, of course, your clothing. Like, make sure if you're weighing in or out of clothing that you're doing it consistently, because, of course, if you're wearing sweatpants, you're going to weigh more. I feel like I've talked a lot. Okay, I'm going to summarize and sum it up here. You can have actually lost fat. The number on the scale can still go up due to any of those factors that we just talked about. Unfortunately, when you get on the scale, you've been busting it, you've been killing yourself with intensity, and you've been doing good, you've been doing everything that you're asked to do in this program, but your weight's up, you probably feel sad, and that sucks. But again, the biggest theme of this video is that the scale measures your weight. The scale does not measure your progress. It doesn't tell you how much food is in you. It doesn't tell me how much water you're holding. It doesn't tell me how much muscle you put on or how much fat you've lost. It literally just tells your body weight. Your body weight, like it kind of matters, but not really when you look at everything else. So you could just happen to weigh yourself on the heaviest day of the week by accident, and you're going to feel like shit because you're up 5 pounds, you've been doing everything, and that's why that discouragement can come into play. So that's why we really want to drive this home and like give you guys that education, because I'm pretty sure at least some of you guys didn't know all of those things that can totally affect your weight. And when you get on the scale and you see that increased number, all you think is like, oh my God, I gained fat, right? And you can absolutely lose weight and have a higher body fat percentage. So just because the scale is going down doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good thing. Usually, it's not, usually when the scale goes down, it's not that you're gaining fat, usually, but it can happen. It can happen. So, weight is only a useful tool if you allow it to be, if you use it in conjunction with multiple other factors, because there are so many confounding things that are going to affect the number on the scale. And overall, we want to focus on that trend over time, over multiple months, not just over weeks. The scale does not measure your strength. It does not measure your mindset. It does not measure your consistency. The scale doesn't measure the changes to your lifestyle, your intentionality, the intentions you're setting for yourself each day in each workout. It doesn't measure your energy. It doesn't measure your happiness. It doesn't measure your stress levels, your sleep. It doesn't measure the alignment of your life or any other factors. It doesn't measure your body composition, your body fat. It doesn't measure how your clothes fit or how you feel. It just measures your body weight. So, to summarize, again, desensitize yourself to that number on the scale. It doesn't define you. It does not define your progress. Focus on the actions, focus on your consistency, and focus on becoming the person you need to become to achieve your goals.